Fuck it. All right, let's do this, you guys. We've got a broken mic stand, so I'm just going to hand this to you guys. Are you all ready for your headliner?
Yeah!
Another one of my favorites. You guys are going to love him. Without further ado, you guys, big round of applause for Garrett Cousineau.
Thank you. Oh my God, keep it going for Kevin and Ryan and Hope and Greg, everybody. That was fantastic. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. This has been a fun show. I also get compared to celebrities sometimes. The most recent one, though, it wasn't a combination like Kevin. Mine was just, I was sitting in front of a bar, and a car pulled up at the stoplight outside the bar, rolled down the window, and a guy yelled, "You look like Ryan Dunn!" And then he drove away. And if you're not familiar, Ryan Dunn was from Jackass. So I went into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and concluded that yes, I do look like I've been dead for 12 years. It's a fair comparison, I get it. The other celebrity that I get compared to the most is it's Bradley Cooper. But not like Bradley Cooper from like The Hangover where he's like cool and suave, like Bradley Cooper from Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, if you're not familiar, that's the movie he plays a talking raccoon. Yeah, I get a lot of nicknames. Have my entire life. It started when I was real young. I got bullied a lot. I was called things like Garrett the Carrot, Garrett the Parrot, Garrett the pussy ass, titty baby, crybaby bitch, which particularly hurt my feelings because I was homeschooled. Yeah, my mom's a mean drunk. Yeah. Actually, my mom is actually a very sweet lady. I just don't talk to her anymore because the last time we talked a couple of weeks ago, I found out she doesn't know the difference between a butt dial and a booty call. Very awkward conversation. We were just talking, catching up like normal, and she's like, "Hey, let me call you right back. I'm getting another call." 45 seconds later, she calls me back. And I'm like, "What's that?" She's like, "That was your Uncle Mike. He must have booty called me." And I didn't know how to explain to her that's not what that was. For lots of reasons. Let's start with the timing, right? 45 seconds. Are you kidding? Anybody here ever had a phone sex booty call? 45 minutes is what it takes when my Uncle Mike booty calls me. Like, I don't know what the fuck she was talking about. He's a passionate guy. Rubbed off on me a lot when I was a kid. Now, Jorge was saying that got told, he said, dad jokes too often. I don't tell dad jokes because I don't have kids. I tell uncle jokes. Which are just like dad jokes, but a little touchier.
No!
Thank you. That one made Ryan walk away. All right. Now, all right. This has been it's been an interesting week. Last night I was hanging out with a friend, and he told me that his mom had just passed away. And I couldn't express to him how deeply, deeply jealous I was. I was like, wait, so nobody calls you, see if he goes to church anymore? Oh man, that sounds great. I was homeschooled. My parents are very Christian people. They were nice people, but like I don't talk to either one of them. My dad in particular is a disappointment to me. Because like I'm 34 years old, and I have 4 jobs. My dad is 71 years old, still lives at home with my mom. What a fucking loser. I'm always like, get a job. And he's like, I'm retired. Like, I don't care, I want an inheritance. Get to work. Why do you think I have 4 jobs? It's not because I make money. Jesus. But being homeschooled was very weird because it's like this weird religious community. You know, like a lot of people ask, like, what was it like growing up homeschooled? It was like, I mean, honestly, I don't know what to tell you. It was kind of like wherever you went to school. We just told a lot less your mom jokes. And I was incredibly naive about a lot of things. Like, I thought the Cold War was called that because it's cold in Russia. Like, I thought sexual battery was the one my mom put in her neck massager. Like, no. I was just naive about a lot of things, you know? So you guys could probably tell I was single. It's not just this bisexual lighting that's going on up here.
No!
I'm straight, I'm single, and it happened pretty recently. I was going out with a girl for about a year, And I'm having trouble meeting new people. I just don't think anybody's going to measure up. I'm not saying that we had the greatest relationship. I'm saying she was 6 feet tall and had 2 black belts in karate. And that's a tough thing to move on from, mostly because I don't know if I'm allowed to. Yeah, our safe word was yes, ma'am. But no, she was also Jewish, and it was my first time going out with a Jewess? No, I'm not going to say that. Juliet already did, it's on camera. So this one night I was porking her, and yeah, she liked it dirty, unclean even. I don't know if you've ever gone down on a Jewish girl before, but if you do, it's very important to pay attention to the labia minora. Okay. Because there's 8 of them. All right. No, but I'm single again now, and I've been jerking off a lot. Anybody else? Been jerking off? Yeah, give jerking off a hand. Give jerking off a hand, yeah. 2 if you're lucky. All right. No, so I've been watching a lot more porn, and it's different because I've been in relationships on and off the last several years, and now that I'm older, I found that my taste in porn has changed. When I was younger, one of my favorite porn series was called My Sister's Hot Friend. You guys might be familiar with it. By guys, I mean you, and you. But yeah, so My Sister's Hot Friend was one of my favorites because, again, I was homeschooled, right? I wasn't exposed to a lot of people. So I would always fantasize about my sisters having friends. But these days, I'm in my mid-30s, I find myself, I'm watching a lot more massage-themed porn. Greg's in a lot of it. But just the massage part, that's all I want. It's just the massage part because I'm alone, and that's my fantasy now, is that somebody would just lay me down and get in there, As soon as the dick comes out, I lose all interest. But I still jerk off to some stuff. The other day I was watching a film of the MILF variety. You guys are familiar? Mom, I'd like to fuck. That's what that means. And after I'd finished up, cleaned myself off, I got curious. I'm like, how old is this actress? So I went down a little Google rabbit hole, because I needed to know how old she was. And don't do that. Don't go down a porn rabbit hole after you've already come. Just don't. It's always a disappointment. Because I found out that this actress in the MILF porn is a year younger than me. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have thought about killing yourselves recently, but finding out that your mildly kinky little activity that you do by yourself is just perfectly normal, age appropriate, that'll do it. Yeah, because that's age appropriate sex is for real life, not for porn, all right? So now I'm going to have to go to one of 2 extremes. Not even one of 2. I'm going to have to go to granny porn. It's illegal to go the other direction. I have to go to granny porn. Anyway, don't make the mistake I did. Don't go down a porn rabbit hole after you've already come. Here's the thing. I should have known better because that's not the first time that's happened to me. The last time it happened to me, I'd watched the film. I'd enjoyed it. Had a great time. But afterwards, I got curious about the guy in the porn. Don't be weird. It was because he was completely naked, doing his thing, killing it, crushing puss. He was doing great. So he was completely naked except for an athletic sleeve that covered his entire right arm. And I'm like, what? Because he had other tattoos, right? I'm like, what does this man have tattooed on him that needed to be covered up? And I'm thinking, it has to be Nazi shit, right? Right? It has to be. What does this man have tattooed on his body that is so egregious that Brazzers.com is like, sir, you have to cover that up. We do stepmom and ass to mouth here. We're not monsters. And I wish that story had a better ending. But again, all of these rabbit holes will be disappointing. I found one of his earlier films. Turns out it has an entire arm tattoo that's just the characters from the live action Alice in Wonderland. So So it's copyright protected. That's the only reason he had to cover it up.
Yeah.
I wanted Nazi shit!
Is what Jorge tells me to stop yelling on stage. Yeah, so I'm trying to date though, but it's all online, and that's kind of a mixed bag for me, you know, because I generally end up just dating white women. You can tell that just by looking at me, and it's not by choice, right? That's just the blank deck that I've been dealt. And in my years of that trend, I've discovered that every single white girl I've ever slept with loves two things. They love documentaries about serial killers and being choked in bed. And I'm starting to think there's a correlation between those two things. You know, we'll be having sex, she's saying choke me harder, but what I know she's thinking is, it's me, I'm making a murderer right now. Here's the problem, I know she's thinking that, so I come immediately. And that's when I get to lean down and be like, no, we just made a murderer.
No.
Because if you pay attention to those documentaries, you know that absent fathers are one of the signs.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. No, so I'm jerking off a lot now. Jerking off is weird though, between men and women. Because I've had girlfriends who have walked in on masturbating. It seems like you set a scene, you know, you really set a mood. There's candles, there's incense, there's a true crime podcast going. And with guys, we also like to set the mood, but it's just safe search off, incognito browser, won't make me sad when I'm done. Now, I have been on some interesting dates though. In particular, this one sticks out to me because the first thing the girl said to me, as soon as we sat down to have a drink, she was like, just to let you know, I don't shave anything. Which is a strong opener. You guys should try it sometime. But for me, it's that doesn't really bother me. I'm a 21st century kind of guy. And I told her so. I was like, yeah, that's fine. That doesn't really gross me out or anything. She's like, really? Because some guys are grossed out. And I just have to lay down the law and let them know that they're about to have sex with somebody who's hairier than they are. There's a strong follow-up if you guys want to try it out. But for me, it's that's great, good for you, stop buying into beauty standards. But also, if you ever come across me having sex and they are hairier than I am, you should call the police. Because I'm not allowed in that PetSmart anymore. Not since the incident. Another one of my favorite stories of a date was this girl. We actually went out a couple of times. Things were going pretty well. We got to the point where we were back at my place and we were starting to hook up. And then she stopped me as we were making out and getting all handsy. She stopped me and she's like, hey, just to let you know, I do something kind of weird when I come. And I'm just assuming she's a squirter, right? But she was 22 and I was not. So I'm just if she's a squirter, best case scenario for me, because then I can be like, yeah, me too.
Most men are. Nobody's talking about it.
Sick of this shit. But no, so we continue hanging out. We get back into the bedroom, and so we're all naked, and I am speaking in tongues, trucker hunting, doing the Lord's work. I'm going down on her, and she sneezed. And I didn't really think anything of it. Just kind of went about my little activity there. A couple minutes later, we're having sex, and then she sneezed again. And this time, I got freaked out. I was like, fuck, does she have a shrimp allergy?
Oh no!
Yes. Some of you know that's a small penis joke. All right. You guys are good. You guys are smart audience. But that's it. It turns out that she sneezes when she comes. Which I looked it up. There's 9% of the female population that sneeze when they have an orgasm. And I find that fascinating, and I will always remember that story. She's the only girl I've ever met that keeps a box of Kleenex next to her bed for the same reason that guys do.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I just had an orgasm, so I'll clean that up. No. I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm not originally from here. You know, I don't have Kevin's knowledge of the language and the slang and everything. I'm from Michigan originally. I moved here to take a year off from college 15 years ago. So, but it's been a fun ride, but I never truly felt like a local until about 7 years ago, because that's when I got held up at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah? Anybody else here been, yeah, it's not just the weather here that's muggy. Yeah, I'll tell you the story. I was walking home late one night after hanging out with friends. 3 guys jumped out of a car. They put a gun in my ribs. They took the $27 I had in my wallet, my cell phone, my joke book. Then they punched me in the face twice, and they left. Now, the joke book being the most ridiculous of those items, right? They probably just threw it away. Or maybe they started reading it, and they're like, this is the most fucked up diary I've ever seen in my life. This guy seems unhinged. Maybe, this is the least most likely, but I kind of hope this happens, that I see one of these motherfuckers at an open mic, like trying out my jokes. Although I guess it would hurt my feelings if they get better laughs than I do. But they punched me because as we're going through my wallet, I asked if I could still have my driver's license, right? They're taking the money out, take my debit card, and like, hey, can I please just have my driver's license? Can I please have my driver's license? Punch. And then they threw my wallet back at me. I caught it. They punched me again and drove off. But I looked, and they left my driver's license in the wallet. So I really appreciated that. Because getting punched in the face twice is still better than going to the DMV.
Yes.
Yeah. But my favorite part, my absolute favorite part about getting mugged was the irony. Because I got mugged by people with much nicer things than me.
Yeah.
Think about it. They had a gun. They had a car. They had 2 friends. After many, many years of long, hard work, I've made it up to 1 friend. It's my best friend, Ryan. And Ryan is a very attractive brunette who's several years younger than me. And this weirds out a lot of my friends, especially my comedian friends, because either they're trying to have sex with her or they think I'm trying to have sex with her. Which to me is gross. We've been best friends for 10 years. And I'm always like, dude, that's disgusting. That'd be like having sex with my sister. Sorry, this is the South. That'd be like having sex with someone else's sister.
Yeah.
I guess I want to leave you guys on a bit of a weird note. Because we just ended the pandemic, right? It was like 3 weeks ago they finally announced it's over. I've known 2 people to get it since then, so still wash your fucking hands, please. It's not like most of the men I know were doing it throughout the pandemic, but you know. Some of my favorite stories, though, happened during the pandemic that weren't COVID related. They were just weird shit that happened while we were all locked up and paying attention. You know, there was the murder hornets. That was a crazy one. You know, these like crazy invasive species that came and they thought it was going to like wipe out all the other bee species. They were pollinizers, is what they were. All right, couple of drones. That's all that's worth. I promise. That's all that's worth. But on top of murder hornets, we had the drug smuggling pigeons in Atlanta. I don't know if you guys saw that story. They were catching pigeons that had these little backpacks on them that had like fentanyl and like oxys and stuff they were using to like send drugs across town. It's crazy. The birds and the bees conversation in 2020 was terrifying. Even if there wasn't a pandemic, I would have told the kid like, just don't go outside ever. Like, yeah. But my absolute favorite story from the pandemic happened right here in New Orleans. And it's that a man was caught on camera committing, and I'm quoting here, unnatural sex acts with 2 horses at City Park Stables in Mid-City. One of those horses belonged to the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Department. So, I am all for the sentiment of fuck the police. Just maybe not the horse they rode in on? Like, is that too much to ask? So any way you try to spin that story, right, that is still sexual assault, and nay means nay.
Okay.
All right, sorry to saddle you guys with that one. I'm going to hoof it. I've been Garrett Cousineau. You guys have been great. Give up your all for Ray Velasquez, everybody.
Give it up, everybody. Garrett Cousineau, your headliner. That's our show. Thank you all so much for being here. This has been